Sorry. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. This is part 666, the number of the beast, of the 2025 DVD and Blu-Ray collection overview. So we'll keep it rocking and rolling. So this should be, if I don't talk for hours, this should be the last part for this shelf. I didn't put the Chuck Norris ones back in the front because with my luck I'll bump it and they'll all fall off. That can wait. But we should be able to get this shelf done in this part, and then we'll move over and go from there. So without further ado, let's get into some Jean-Claude Van Damme. I have pretty much everything over here. I got the 4K, another 4K of Hard Target. I have the German 4K because I had the work print cleaned up, and then I have the German 4K of Time Cop because that actually has features. It's all stuff from back in the day, but it's okay with me. But those are over there because I haven't watched them yet. And I do want to get, like there was a German release of The Order, and Van Damme actually interviewed for that, so I want to get that. I was hoping that 88 Films would have put it out and got that interview, but I don't know what's going on with the Van Damme stuff, because they said there was more Van Damme and more Chuck Norris coming, and I think they only put out 1 or 2 movies, and then that was it. But I want to get The Order. I want to upgrade some of these, which we'll cover in the course of the review. So first up, no retreat, no surrender, stand on your own. I love this movie. I don't care. I didn't see this until I was an adult, but I love it. You get Van Damme as a Russian bad guy, and then the kid gets trained by the ghost of Bruce Lee. I'm in. Like that's a Bruceploitation film. I'm down. So, but I love this one, and it does have the American cut is on here, and then the international version because they changed, I think, the music and such. But good stuff. Hopefully they'll re-release this in the theaters next year for the 40th anniversary. Not going to happen. I'm only wishful thinking. It does say 86, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say this was shot in 84 and then it got delayed or whatever. I could be wrong, but I always want to say that this movie was actually shot in 1984 and it didn't come out until 86. So, again, I could be wrong, but that's just how my brain works. Then we have the double feature of Bloodsport and Time Cop. Like I said, I do have the German 4K of Time Cop. I just haven't watched yet. And I want to get that overseas 4K of Bloodsport because Van Damme is interviewed and there's other extras and stuff on there. But for now, I have these. I got this at Walmart. I do kind of like the slipcover. But here in the States, I know Shout Factory did Time Cop, and Cliff McMillan, when he worked with them, wanted to do extras and stuff, but they said no. And then hopefully Arrow will pick... Like, if Arrow picked it up for Region B World, I'd buy that, because it'll be features. But why Bloodsport has never... Even Time Cop, like, why they've never gotten super duper deluxe Blu-rays, DVDs even, here in America is beyond me. Bloodsport is the movie that made Van Damme a star. It's a classic. It's one of, even people that don't like Van Damme, which I never understood that, but they like Bloodsport. So there you go. And Time Cop was his biggest movie. And again, once more, if people that don't like Van Damme typically, hey, Bloodsport was good, Time Cop was good. So 2 of his biggest movies, and they never, in America, got special features is just fucking crazy to me. I don't know. I think Warner Brothers owns Time Cop, because that was Largo. Largo, their movies ended up in different places. I think most of their movies are owned by Warner Brothers now, because I know Point Break is owned by Warner Brothers. I think the only one that's not is John Carpenter's Vampires. That's Sony for some reason. Unlawful Entry went to Warner Brothers, so there you go. And then Bloodsport, I don't know where Bloodsport in America is, because that was, for the longest time, Warner Brothers owned it, because that was one of the Canon films that Warner Brothers put out. But then if you go here on YouTube, if you go on MGM's YouTube channel, there's all these Bloodsport clips and stuff. So I don't know if they licensed it. I don't know what's going on with Bloodsport here in the States. Excuse me. But I just find it so odd that Bloodsport and Time Cop never got any kind of special edition here in America. Other Van Damme movies did. I mean, if you want to go back to the DVD days, Universal Soldier got a special edition. Street Fighter, now that was all stuff from the Laserdisc, but Street Fighter still got features. It's just weird that those two movies, out of all the Van Damme films, got nothing. So there's that. And then we have Black Eagle from MVD. I don't like this movie because Van Damme, I don't have a problem. Like Van Damme, it's funny because later in his career when he became a star, I don't want to play the villain, but he was a villain here and it was fine. He played a villain later on and it was fine. So, that's why he turned down movies like Face Off and stuff. I don't want to play the bad guy. I don't want to get killed by Steven Seagal. Look, that part, I don't blame you. So there you go. But there is extra features on here with Sho Kosugi. He does get interviewed about... Now, he gets interviewed about the movie, and his son is on here too, Shane. But they do a little thing about Van Damme, and he's not interviewed on that, because from what I heard, him and Van Damme did not get along when they were making this movie. But I put it with Van Damme. I didn't put it with Sho Kosugi, because I just... whatever, but... yeah, this is not a good movie. I never liked it. And that, for the longest time, that was one of the ones that I avoided because I always heard that it was never good. Like, that was one of the Van Damme films that nobody liked. I didn't see it till later as an adult. And even like I said, I don't like the film, but when they did that, I'm like, well, Sho Kosugi is on the extra features, so at least I get that. And then we have Cyborg, speaking of 88 films, because this has more extra features than the American release, so that's why I got it. I quite like Cyborg. This was another, like Black Eagle, this was a Van Damme movie when I was growing up. This was one of the ones that everybody said sucked. Everybody said it was terrible, it's not good, and I avoided it for a long time, and then I found it at a FYE for like $5. I said, let me give the movie a chance. And I liked it then, and I still like it now. And this was like Bloodsport. Van Damme saved this movie. So sometimes, yes, ego, but sometimes it's for a good reason. So Van Damme saved Bloodsport in the editing room. He saved Cyborg in the editing room. Yes, I know he had a big ego and he paid for it in more ways than one, but sometimes that will help you, and it certainly helped Van Damme a couple times. So there you go. But Cyborg is fun. And that was the movie where he accidentally hit the guy in the eye with the prop knife and the guy lost his sight. Then they made such a big deal about it. They acted like he did it on purpose. He didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident because they were going after Van Damme. He injures stunt guys. No, that's Steven Seagal. So there you go. Anyway. Then we have Kickboxer. I need to get the 4K that has all the extra features, including an interview with Van Damme. But this is the old bare bones Blu-ray. So there you go. So yeah, I got to upgrade Bloodsport. I got to upgrade this. So I'll work on that. My plan is for 2026. I know I keep saying it. I've been saying it for years, but my plan is for 2026 to upgrade as much as I can from DVD to Blu-ray, and then stuff like Kickboxer where, the 4K has all these extra features, like that kind of stuff. That's my big goal for next year. Well, in a couple weeks here, because it's already December 9th, right? Yes. That's my big goal for 2026. Is to mostly upgrade from whatever is on DVD to Blu-ray, work on that stuff, and then, stuff like, hey, there's a 4K special edition of Kickboxer that's got all these features. Yeah, I'll buy that. So there you go. Then we have Death Warrant, which this is from Scorpion, which is not around anymore because they were associated with Code Red. There is a German Blu-ray that has all the extra features. It's a couple interviews. And then there's also an interview with Cynthia Gibb on that, who was very, very cute. I will say she was very cute back in the day. I don't know what she looks like now, but in the 80s and the 90s, she was very cute. So there's that. Anyway, but I like this film. This is another Van Damme movie that I didn't see in its entirety until later on. I remember catching like the end fight on TV and stuff back in the day, but I didn't see it till late. I think it was another situation where I went to an FYE and they had it for like $5 on DVD. I picked it up. Like, I could sit here all day and tell these stories, and that's, the biggest thing that I miss about doing this is like the live streams and getting to talk to you guys directly and swapping the stories, and so that's the biggest part of it to me. That's the thing that I miss the most. Yeah, I could sit here and talk about this stuff all day like everybody else here on YouTube, but the interaction is what I miss the most. But anyway, I quite like this. It's not the best Van Damme movie, but it's good. It's got some moments. It's pretty fun. Good cast in here, but I need to get the German Blu-ray of that. And then we have the MVD of Lionheart, always one of my favorite Van Damme movies. And this one and the next movie are the two that Van Damme had to make, because if he didn't, he would have just kept making kickboxing movies. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But this was one of the films where he showed, he can actually do more than punch and kick people. Like, he can act and he can evolve and he can do different movies. Unlike Steven Seagal. I know I keep beating up on Steven Seagal, but it's true. Because, don't get me wrong, I love the old school Steven Seagal movies, but they could have just been the same movie. You know what I mean? Like, because he played the same character every time. Just, okay, in this movie he's a cop. In this movie he's a Navy SEAL. You know what I mean? But Van Damme actually tried to get better, and he did get better as an actor, and he tried different things, and he played different characters, and this is one of the movies that proved he can do more. He can be more than the kickboxer guy. So there you go. And there is an interview with Van Damme. For those that don't know, there is an interview with Van Damme on here. There's a bunch of interviews. There's commentaries and all sorts of stuff. And it has the... I think it was the international version. Because I remember seeing that. Like, I downloaded it off the internet. Because I put it on a hard drive or something. Because I just wanted movies on a hard drive. And I'm watching it like, oh, this is different. That's different. Oh, this is the international cut. So that's on here. It's got stuff from back in the day, which is cool. So there you go. There is a German Blu-ray. I think it's from Retro Gold. It's like a 7-disc set. It's got more on there, so I do want to get that. I might keep the MVD. We'll see. And then we have, also from MVD, Double Impact, which, like I said, these are the two movies that Van Damme had to make, because he proved to people, I can do more than just punch and kick people in the face. I can try different kind of movies. I can do a gimmick movie, which I love Double Impact. I can flex my acting muscles a bit. I can do different things, which led to Universal Soldier and Nowhere to Run and other stuff. So there you go. But I love this release. It's got a bunch of extras on here. I think, is Van Damme interviewed on here? Yeah, Van Damme is interviewed. It also has an hour of deleted scenes. They were going to put the work print on here, but something happened to where they couldn't do it, so they just extracted the alternate footage and everything and put that on here instead. I mean, you could do a fan cut or something. I don't know why they couldn't do it. I guess it was a clearance thing. I don't know. And then it's got stuff from back in the day as well. And then I do want to get the 88 films released, because that has different extras than this one. But that'll be down the road probably. And then speaking of Universal Soldier, I have the original, which I love Universal Soldier. This is another one, like Bloodsport, like Kickboxer, and some of these other films. This is one that was constantly on TV growing up. I will never forget. I remember the old house, like when where I first started here on YouTube. I remember it was like a Friday night or something, and TBS Superstation back in the day had the Man-Made Movie, where I don't remember the guy's name, but they bought like a house, like it was a old like rundown house out in the woods in Georgia somewhere, and the whole premise was they were going to rebuild this house and do all these crazy things. After that house got built, they kept the show going and they did different projects. It was actually pretty cool. I remember watching, a bunch of stuff. I think it replaced movies for guys who like movies, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll never forget, it was like a Friday night, and on the weekends, like when I was a kid, my mom would let me stay up. So I remember like camping out on the couch, and this was on TV and stuff, and I watched it and like went to bed and stuff. I miss doing shit like that. Can't do that now because I'm an adult. And I also never forget, I got suspended from school because I don't know about you guys, but where I went to school, you had in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension. I always got in-school suspension, which is like, it was like jail. You would go, and you would sit in a room all day and you just do your homework and everything. So you were still in school, but you weren't in class. Like you were in a separate room. And again, it was like prison. You would go and then they'd walk you to the bathroom and then they'd walk you to lunch. It's pretty stupid. But the only time... Sorry. Yeah, that's my alarm, because I forgot to turn my alarm off. Now I'm going to get kicked off YouTube again, because I got Red Hot Chili Peppers playing for half a second. My bad. Anyway, now it's off. Because I got up way before my alarm did. The only time I got out of school suspension, I was in school suspension, and I got kicked out of in-school suspension because I started laughing. Yeah, there was another kid in there, and he was dicking around, and I laughed. Like, I didn't say nothing. Like, I just laughed at what he was doing. And the teacher's like, "You're out of here, blah, blah, blah." So then they sent me home. Like, I had to go to the principal's office. I was suspended. I had to go to out of school, so I had to walk home from... That's the other thing. Like, they didn't call my parents, nothing. Like, they just said, "Okay, you're suspended. You cannot be on school property." So I had to walk home, and I got home, and this is when Blockbuster did the online, the movies in the mail, because they were trying to compete with Netflix, which they fucked up because they should have bought Netflix because they had opportunity. Anyway, this movie was sitting in the mailbox, and it was Easter weekend, so the next day we were going to be off anyway for Good Friday. So I said, fuck it. So I went home, found this in the mailbox, watch it. I do want to get the 4K because the 4K has a different commentary track with the director Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, the writer. And this might be, honestly, my favorite Roland Emmerich movie. I like Independence Day. I like Stargate. I like Godzilla, but this still might be my favorite, to be honest. But the 4K has the commentary here, where it's Dean Devlin, Roland Emmerich, and then Van Damme and Dolph. But I think they were all recorded separately, and they just edited together, and then the features. But why this has never gotten an updated special edition is beyond me. But I'll get that, in 2026, hopefully. Then we have the Nowhere to Run and the Order double feature. I have another Nowhere to Run, which we'll see, but I don't, like I said, there is a German release of the Order, which has features, including an interview with Van Damme. I'll get that at some point. I think it has, doesn't say it on the back, but I think it might have, because the Order had like a couple deleted scenes, and that might be on here, I'm not sure, but that German release has it. But Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Run, Zucker and Zuckertage, thought I saw a putty cat. Now I'm mixing all the characters together. Nowhere to Run, I really, it's basically a remake of Shane, but instead of shooting people, well, Van Damme shoots people, but he also does karate. So, but I always really like Nowhere to Run. The Order is a lot of fun. The Order is really the last old school Van Damme film. After that, he kind of switched gears and stuff. But always enjoyed both of these movies. Like I said, I got to get the other version of The Order. And then I have the 88 films of Nowhere to Run. I always liked that poster, too. I always thought that poster was cool. But this has extra features. It's just an interview, but it's better with Peter MacDonald, who was I think he was the director of photography. No, he was the second unit director. My bad. I should read it before I open. But he directed Rambo 3. And he would later direct Legionnaire with Van Damme, which I quite like. But yeah, like I said, I always liked this film. Rosanna Arquette has said in interviews that she did not like working with Van Damme, but she didn't say why. I have no desire to meet her. She's a crackhead. The only Arquette that matters in this fucking dojo is David Arquette. Didn't a couple years ago she drove her car into a building or something and nothing, she didn't get in trouble, she didn't go to jail. But the last time I went to Chiller, she was there and she had a huge line and I'm like, I don't want to meet her. So anyway, there's that. Then we have the Kino Lorber release of Hard Target, which is my second favorite Van Damme movie. Like I said, I have the German 4K over there. Now, the only thing that's not from this, that's not on there, is the commentary with Brandon Bentley and Mike Leader, who are these action fans, and they work on all these releases and stuff. For some reason, that commentary is not on there. But the interviews and stuff is. So there you go. But Hard Target is a fucking classic. So there, and I think, doesn't this have... I think this... Yeah, it's the international version, which is a couple minutes longer. I want to say the theatrical cut is on here as well, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Yeah, but it's a couple minutes longer. It's got some more action and stuff. But every Blu-ray release of Hard Target in America is that version. I don't know why all of a sudden they switched. The DVD is the R-rated theatrical cut. I had that at one point, but the old Blu-ray of Hard Target, which I did have at one point, that was that version too. I have it on Laserdisc because I have the Japanese Laserdisc of Hard Target. That is the international cut, which again, it's only a couple minutes longer, but it's got more violence and stuff. Not as much as the work print or the director's cut, but Van Damme shoots more people, and you watch it now and you're like, why was this cut? There's no blood. There's barely blood. It's not that bad. But back in the 90s, us youngins, us kids watch Van Damme films, and they were afraid that we were going to go shoot people or something. Fuck if I know. Anyway, then we have Street Fighter. I love Street Fighter. I do not care. I remember when Street Fighter came out as a kid in the theater and on video, and I used to rent the shit out of this movie all the time, and whenever it was on TV, I used to watch it. And Street Fighter and Last Action Hero were the two, and we will see Last Action Hero later on. They were the first two DVDs I ever bought with my own money. I didn't even have a DVD player yet at that point, but I was tipped off that I might have gotten one for Christmas that year, and I did, so there you go. But Street Fighter holds a very special place in my heart. Is it a good movie? Not really, but it's fun. It's fun, damn it, and I like to have fun! So there you go. So first up, we have the 88 Films release, which they actually did a really nice job with this one. I was shocked. But it's got a bunch of extras on here. It's got some new stuff. It's got stuff from back in the day. And then Mill Creek, I don't like this. I like the artwork, but I don't know why they actually gave Van Damme the Guile haircut. I don't know why they did that. They should have just used the shot where his hair was slicked back. But I do like that artwork. I just don't like Van Damme's hair because that's not how his hair looked. This has different extras from this, which is why And then the extras from this didn't make it to this, so there you go. Which is why I have both. And I don't care. I love Street Fighter. But yeah, I was surprised at that and Can't Hardly Wait, which we covered in the last part. I'm surprised that Mill Creek actually spent time and money to put features on those, so there you go. But I don't care. Mortal Kombat 1995 is still the best video game movie ever made. I don't care what anyone says. I will die on that hill very, very proudly. But Street Fighter is fun. I like Double Dragon. I like the Mario Brothers movie. Other than that, I could really... Doom, I like. I can't say. I do like Doom. I think we covered that in a previous part. Or no, we didn't. No, we did not. It's over there. Yeah, because the rock stuff's over there. Anyway, I mean, I can't... There's some other ones I like, but most video game movies are not that good. So Minecraft fucking sucked. So there you go. A chicken donkey! Shut the fuck up, retards. Anyway, Sudden Death from Kino, which I love Sudden Death. I do. The problem I've always had with this movie is Van Damme used a lot of fight doubles because he was playing with the booger sugar. They are really noticeable on this because it's a 4K transfer. You can see everything. Also, what's really noticeable is a lot of the wide shots in this movie, and even some of the close-ups, you can see where the cardboard cutouts are because they didn't want to pay to have all those extras at the Igloo when it was there. It's not there. It's a parking lot now in Pittsburgh. But that is the problem that I've always said with these older movies, because they were not meant to be in 4K, but when they remaster them in 4K, you can see all the stunt doubles, and you can see the wires, and you can see the trampolines, but they jump to fly, and all that stuff, and yes, you can see the cardboard cutouts in this movie. Does that take away my enjoyment of this movie? No, because I love Sudden Death. But again, that is the problem that with these older movies coming out in 4K, is you can see all the things that made the movie magic. Now it's not so magical. People get mad at me when I say that, but it's true. I don't know why there's nothing new with Peter Hyams, because he did an interview. Everybody knows at this point, but the End of Days 4K, that interview, he talked about Time Cop and Sudden Death and some of these other movies. Why he didn't get interviewed or do a commentary for this, I don't know. I don't know if it was scheduling or timing, or he wanted too much money, or what the case was, but it would have been nice to get something new with at least Peter Hyams on this. Yes, Powers Booth is gone. Van Damme, you never know with Van Damme. That is one thing I will say. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme to death. I'd probably say he's my second favorite action star next to Chuck Norris. But Van Damme, his interviews are not that good. Again, I don't want to be mean because I love the guy. But I think a lot of that is his personality and stuff like that. I don't think it's because he wants to give a bad... I just think that's just how he is. But his interviews really aren't that good. Like the ones for Lionheart and Double Impact are okay. But... if I was interviewing Van Damme, I would pick his brain. Well, I don't like that movie. Okay, well, why don't you like it? What went wrong, or what did you feel went wrong? That's just me, because I think of all the questions that people don't ask. So there you go. But I don't know if he likes this movie or not. So there you go. Because I know with Hard Target, apparently Kino Lorber did reach out to Van Damme to do an interview for that film, and they got no response. I don't know if they with this they just said fuck it because he said no to that. You know what I mean? But again, I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. He just doesn't do good interviews. Even what was that shitty movie he was in Swelter, where he died? When they shot that movie, I think you can still find it here on YouTube. There's an interview with him when they filmed that. And he was like, I really hate doing interviews. Like, I know this is your job, but I don't like doing this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. But I don't know why they didn't get at least Peter Hyams. There is features, but it's all stuff from back in the day. And it's all from the EPK. People are like, what's the EPK? The electronic press kit. back in the day, they would send out VHS tapes, or actually U-Matics, which are the 3/4-inch broadcast masters, for all of us nerds out there. They would send those out, and they would air, when you would watch the news or something back in the day. Here's Jean-Claude Van Damme talking about sudden death, and they would cut to, the EPK interview. So that's on here. I actually have that EPK. I have the EPK for this movie on VHS. So the stuff that's on here, I've already seen because I already have it. But it's still cool that it's on here. And I love sudden death. A lot of people hold that movie in high regard because when I was a kid, it was, there were people that liked it, but then there were people like, okay, well, he fights the penguin, and, it's just Die Hard in a hockey game, and then now people are like, oh, no, it's actually one of his better movies. I'm like, well, there you go. But unfortunately, it did not do well. It came out at Christmas. I don't know why you would release a Van Damme movie. Well, I know why. Because Street Fighter came out at Christmas. Street Fighter, I think in America it broke even. It did way better overseas. And it was PG-13 and kids were out of school and stuff. But also, a lot of people went to see Street Fighter because it had the teaser trailer for Mortal Kombat before the movie. So then they left or whatever. But Sudden Death came out at Christmas. I think Heat came out. No. Heat was November. I think Casino also came out the same weekend, and it was the same studio. And I think they were banking more on Sudden Death to be their Christmas hit, and it didn't. I think it might have broke even in America, but overseas it did way better. I'll never forget. I don't know how I remember this. I was 3 years old, but when I went to England for the first time, everywhere you went, like in the subway stations and the train, or they call it the tube in England, but the train stations, there were posters for Sudden Death everywhere because it had not come out in Europe yet. It was coming out in a couple months because back then, in Europe they would get the movies 3 to 6 months later. Now everything is digital, so there you go. But back when it was filmed, they had to ship all the prints over and stuff, so you would have to wait again 3 to 6 months to get a movie. And if the movie did well, maybe. If it didn't do well, maybe not. But I think Sudden Death went to theaters overseas. Some of these other movies we're about to get into, I think they went straight to video overseas because they didn't do well here in America. Anyway, then we have The Quest, which this picture of Van Damme from The Quest is actually, it's the same picture from the poster of Time Cop. I'm sorry. It's the same. I get it. It's the same studio. They got lazy. And this was the last movie he did with Universal, so they were tired of dealing with them because that's when he said, I want $20 million a movie. And to be honest, I used to say all the time, like, yeah, he deserved it. But as the more that I think about it and the older that I get, once again, I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. You guys know this. I don't want to sound like I'm beating up on the guy. But he was wrong. Number one, he was all coked up. Number two, yeah, his movies made money, but his movies were low budget, medium budget. I think the highest budget he got was $30 million, and that was for Universal Soldier: The Return, which was a flop. But, he was wrong. Number one, again, he was all coked up, and then number two, Jean-Claude, I love you, but you weren't getting $20 million a movie, dude. You weren't Jim Carrey, you weren't Arnold, you weren't Stallone. Seagal, I think the most Seagal ever got was $15 million, and that was for Under Siege 2, but Under Siege made $80 million in America on its own. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is. But I think, he's had a great career. He's made some great movies, so I can't complain. But I like The Quest. That's the whole point of this. But Universal clearly didn't give a shit because this was the last movie they had on his deal, and it went over budget, it went over schedule. They just wanted to get it out and not deal with him anymore. Apparently, he didn't direct the movie, but I heard he did direct the movie. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not true. I know I keep going back to Seagal, but same with On Deadly Ground. Apparently, he did direct On Deadly Ground, But then I also heard he really didn't direct on Deadly. I don't know. But I like The Quest. I can't complain. Yes, it's Bloodsport in the 20s. Yes, it's a remake of Bloodsport. But I love Bloodsport. It's a tournament movie. I like tournament movies. So there you go. I think it did okay. I think it broke even. I think this, in America, I think this made more than Sudden Death, to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. I like this film. This is the 101. Are they? I don't know if they're still around or not. 101 films in Europe. Because the American release has no extras. This has an interview with Jack McGee and a couple of other people, which is cool. So there you go. I think there might be a German release out there that has more features. So I have to look into that. And I might grab that at some point. But I remember... this was another one that was always on cable as a kid. I remember Fox, they did like the Fox network, I think they did like a Van Damme week or something, because they showed The Quest, and then I think they showed Maximum Risk like the next night or something. And I remember watching those with my grandfather back in the day. But that was another one, it was always on TV as a kid. I used to watch it a lot. And then speaking of Maximum Risk, we have the 88 films release of. I love this. This is one of Van Damme's most underrated films. I absolutely love it. I've always loved. Now I know in more recent years people, oh yeah, it's so good. But I've always really enjoyed this film. It's a shame that it didn't do that well when it came out, because, you know, I think, yes, he got blacklisted after he told Universal, go fuck yourself, I want $20 million a movie. But also, there were allegations that he beat up his wife, again, just like Seagal, which I think it was proven it wasn't true with him. The drugs really started to take over, I think, Time Cop, Street Fighter, that time. You know, he was coked out of his mind. There was a lot of shit that was coming out about him in the press, like he would go to bars and he would try to start bar fights to prove how tough he was, and I think he was really depressed, I think, because he wasn't, after Time Cop was his biggest hit. After Time Cop, yeah, his movies, you know, The Quest did okay, Street Fighter did okay, but I think when you started to get here, you know, his movies weren't making money anymore, because people were just getting tired of him. You know, they wanted somebody different. No one stays on top forever. Charles Bronson said that. But I think it was that, you know, they wanted to see somebody else. They wanted to see somebody different. They were tired of him kicking people, which not me, because I love the guy. I don't know how many times I've said that. Hell, this part, at this point, will probably be just fucking Van Damme. So there's that. Anyway, nothing wrong with that. But also, again, when you're reading, back then when people read newspapers, when you're reading the newspaper, Van Damme did this, Van Damme flipped his bike, I think he got in a motorcycle accident and got hurt. You know, he got it, him and Chuck Zito, I think it was around this time, him and Chuck Zito got in that public feud. And, you know, the drugs certainly didn't help, you know, but he was still putting out good movies, which is weird. But I think around this time, yes, he did get blacklisted, but it was just a combination of different things. You know, I think his depression really ramped up around this time, and he was using more drugs to deal with that, and, you know, people were really beating up on the guy at the time. But again, it's odd because this is one of his best films. I don't care what anyone says. I love this movie. And I love the trailer. The trailer to this movie is one of my favorite movie trailers. It's got Firestarter by The Prodigy in there, and I love the way that it's edited. From internationally acclaimed action director Ringo Lam, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and from Species, Natasha Henstridge. Natasha Henstridge's fucking smoke show. So there you go. And of course she took her shirt off because Species is just, not that I'm complaining, because Natasha Henstridge is hot. I do wish that there was more extras on here. There's only, I think, a little featurette and a commentary. Or no, it's just a commentary, my bad. But this movie deserves more because, in my book, it's always been one of Van Damme's best films. So there's that. And then we have Double Team, which this was one that grew on me. I remember HBO, ran the shit out of this movie back in the day. And I used to watch it a lot, and it just, for whatever reason, I don't know why, Dennis Rodman is a fucking clown. Okay, yes, he was, don't get me wrong, Dennis Rodman was a great basketball player, but people looked at him more for his antics and him being a weirdo and shit like that. And this movie, in my book, was more, they were trying to make it more about Dennis Rodman, which is weird because half the movie he's not really in. But they looked at it more as a vehicle for him because Van Damme was on his way out. And then he did that shitty movie, Simon Says, which the less said about that movie, the better. But over the years, I have really come to like this movie, and this one and Knockoff, which we'll talk about next, are the closest movies that Van Damme did to a Jackie Chan film. So there you go. And there's some really good action scenes. Choi Hark, I think Van Damme said he was very kinetic as a director, which is cool. But I know he hated the American film system and everything, which is why after Knockoff he just went back to Hong Kong and said fuck that noise. I don't blame him. I think Ringo Lam was very similar. John Woo was very similar after Wind Talkers. They said after Wind Talkers the phone stopped ringing, so I stopped making movies in America. But you know, I do like this movie. There is a commentary. I do wish there was more on here. I love Mickey Rourke as an actor, but he is so severely miscast. He is, I think, one of the weakest things in this movie. He is so severely miscast. And then apparently, him and Van Damme hated each other when they made the film because Mickey Rourke said all this shit about Van Damme in the press. So they had to be kept away from each other while they were filming because they were afraid they were going to kick. Look, back then, Mickey Rourke was still tough and in shit. I don't know. I think it would have been a pretty fair fight if Van Damme and Mickey Rourke went at it. So there you go. But I do like Van Damme and Dennis Rodman's chemistry. I can actually stand Dennis Rodman in this. As a human being, not really. As an athlete, yes, because you cannot deny he was a great basketball player. And I don't even fucking like basketball. So there you go. But this movie grew on me. Same with the next movie. Knockoff, which Van Damme does not remember making because he was so. This was the tail end of his coke days because after this he got sober, thank God. But he does not remember making this movie. But this is another one that grew on me because it was constantly on TV. Like USA Network used to run the shit out of it. It took me a while to get used to it, but I do like this. And Rob Schneider actually said, despite Van Damme being cooked up, he actually really liked working with him. He said they got along very well, and he quite liked working with Van Damme, which is cool. And I like Rob Schneider, but I do think it's kind of dumb that I'm supposed to believe that Rob Schneider's a CIA agent and Van Damme's just this goofball that's making knockoff jeans. Like, I would rather have had Van Damme as a CIA agent undercover in that field, and we don't learn about it till the end of the movie or whatever. And Paul Sorvino, God rest his soul, I love Paul Sorvino. You know, he's in here as one of the villains. But the action scenes are really good. And Sammo Hung, I think he only worked on this. I want to say he worked on Double Team, but I don't think so. I think he only worked. No, he did, because there's a picture of Dennis Rodman, Van Damme, Jackie Chan, and Sammo Hung out there from the set of this movie. That's right. So I think he worked on both of these as a favor to Choi Hark. But like I said, these two is the closest thing that Van Damme did to making a Jackie Chan movie. So there you go. But those two movies grew. I like Double Team more, but Knockoff I like as well. And then we have Legionnaire, which is his first directed video movie, because it was supposed to go to theaters, but all the investors and the studios were like, this is not going to make money because Van Damme's star is fading and he's a French Foreign Legion guy. Like, that's not going to sell. So they sold it to video and TV. I think they ended up breaking even. But I really like this film. It's a different kind of Van Damme movie. He gets to act a little bit more. He's a boxer, so there's no martial art. And that's the other thing. People were like, well, there's no martial arts in it, so why are we going to sell that movie? You know what I mean? Like the Gary Daniels movie, Spoiler, where when they were trying to sell that film, all the investors in the studios were like, Gary Daniels doesn't use martial arts. We can't sell this film. But he said that's one of his favorite movies. But I thought this was cool. It's a different kind of Van Damme movie. I like this, sweeping war epic, and it's a cool film. I do quite like this. And there's some extra features on here, which is cool. Some commentaries. Excuse me. I think there might be a German release that has more. I'll have to look into that. I don't know what it is. You Germans, man, you guys are killing it with the extra features. I love it. Kind of want to go visit Germany. Well, I'd love to go back to Germany. But I kind of want to go and hit up some of these shops you got. See if I can find these movies. And then we have Universal Soldier: The Return, which I always loved this movie. This was a blind buy. I remember getting it out of the $5 bin at Walmart. It was a Friday night. I'll never forget it. We went to Walmart to get some stuff. I grabbed this for $5, went home and watched it, and I just had a hell of a kick out of it. So there you go. You got Goldberg in here as it's funny because in the movies, Goldberg played a bad guy, but he didn't want to be a bad guy in wrestling. Well, kids watch. Oh, you think the kids didn't watch this movie? Come on, Bill. And then Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White was in the first Universal Soldier in the beginning, but here he gets to play the villain. Unfortunately, this was Van Damme. This was the last big theatrical movie that he starred in. It was a huge flop because, again, this is actually the first movie he did when he was sober, though. But I think the damage was already done. People were tired of seeing him. But I love it. I can't complain. Apparently, it went over budget and over schedule. And allegedly, from what I heard, Van Damme actually directed this. Mick Rogers is credited as the director. But apparently, he was in over his head, which is weird because he had directed Second Unit. He was a stunt guy. He knew how to do action and everything. But apparently he didn't know what he was doing. And he got in over his head and Van Damme kind of took over. And then the movie went out of control and financially and stuff. I think this is one of the commentary tracks. The guy's just like shit on the movie the whole time. That's the other thing. If you're going to get somebody to do a commentary, do you think maybe you could get people that actually like the movie? I don't want to hear them shit on the movie for 2 hours. I can do that here on YouTube, you know what I mean? But it does have the stuff from back in the day and the DVD. But I've always really liked this. It's just fun. It's late 90s. Some of the CGI is shitty. I will give it that. But it's got a lot of practical effects. It's got a lot of action in it. Van Damme is smiling and he's happy and he's doing the kicks and I always really liked this. This was, one of the best $5 DVD Walmart finds ever. So there's that. And then we have Desert Heat, or as it's known overseas as Inferno. This is the German release because it never got a Blu-ray here in America. Now, this was shot before Universal Soldier: The Return, but it came out after, and Van Damme was still actually coked up during this. Because I don't know if it's still on here, but there was someone made this compilation of Van Damme like clearing his nose because he was doing coke, and like the other actors are making fun of him and stuff like that. But it came out in the States at least after Universal Soldier: The Return. This is another one that was always on TV. I always used to watch. It was a USA Network for a while. They were just running the shit out of Van Damme movies. And this is one that I watched on there a lot. I know a lot of people don't like this movie. I do. This version, the version that came out is Van Damme's edit. Originally, his character died, and it was all like a dream or something like that. John Avildsen directed this, who did the Karate Kid movies. His name is on the back here, but when you watch the movie, he used a pseudonym because he tried to take his name off of it. Apparently, that alternate cut exists because he kept everything. I don't know if that'll ever come out. I would like it to come out, so there you go. But I like this film. We got Danny Trejo, Pat Morita in there. Gabriella, what's her name? Gabriella Fitzpatrick, who played Dulcia in the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie. Fucking smoke show. Jamie Presley, fucking smoke show. I cannot complain. two gorgeous women. So there you go. I don't know what it is about Australian women, because Gabriella Fitzpatrick is Australian. She was in Mr. Nice Guy with Jackie Chan as well, which we covered in a previous segment. But babe, I'll say that. And I definitely see. Ain't no way I'm gay. Fucking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, her running around in a loincloth. Yeah, And then you got Kimberly in booty shorts running around. Yeah, ain't no way I'm a rump ranger. I would have said, ain't no way I'm a fag. I'm allowed to make fun of myself. So there you go. Shit, I mean, at this point, it'll probably just be all Van Damme. And we'll see. Anyway, so next up, I have Replicant. I love Replicant. This was supposed to go to theaters, actually, but I guess they figured, we don't know, because Seagal, I know, because, again, you guys, younger people don't understand. Those were, in the 80s, it was Arnold and Stallone. In the 90s, it was Van Damme and Seagal. That's just how it was. Seagal did Exit Wounds, and Exit Wounds was a hit, and they were thinking, well, maybe we could try that with Van Damme. But I love this film. I really do. Him and Michael Rooker said, actually on the commentary, that him and Van Damme were friends for quite a while, and they always wanted to work together, but it didn't happen until this film. But I really like this film. It's really solid. The reason why I have two is because different extra features. Yeah, Van Damme, it's another gimmick like Double Impact where he gets cloned, but I thought that was a cool idea. And I guess also The Sixth Day had come out the year before. Michael Rooker's in that movie too, another clone movie, you know what I mean? But really solid film. And unfortunately, that's the next movie, my bad. But we have the American release because this has a commentary with Van Damme and Michael Rooker. They were recorded separately but edited together. That's not on the 88 Films release. I think there's a German release that has that commentary. I have to get that one. But this has a different commentary and extras and stuff like that. But quite like Replicant, definitely one of his best, I think one of his best movies overall, to be honest, but definitely one of his best direct-to-video films. Along with this one. And then we have In Hell, which I will say, when this came on USA Network, because once again, they ran the shit out of Van Damme movies. They tried to market it basically like Bloodsport in prison. It's not like that. It's not an action film. It's a drama, but it's a pretty solid movie. It's got some good performances in here, so I can't complain. So I have this German media book, which I got this one first, because the 88 Films release wasn't out yet. But I really liked it. I didn't want to get rid of it. I really like this. And this is, again, one of Van Damme's best movies, whether it's direct-to-video land or in general. I think it's one of his best films. And unfortunately, this was the last time that he worked with Ringo Lam. They were supposed to work on the next movie, Wake of Death, but they had a falling out, and then Ringo Lam died. I don't know if they ever patched things up or not. But yeah, they were going to do Wake of Death, and then they had a falling out for whatever reason. I hope they were able to mend fences. But they never worked together again, sadly. And then I have the 88 Films release, because this one has, I don't think. Yeah, this one, there might be a trailer on here. This doesn't have any extra features. This one does. But like I said, it's a really nice media book. Nice presentation on here. And it's in hell. If it was Second in Command or something, yeah, I wouldn't have kept it. But I know it has the protective cover. That's just how, when I bought it, it came with it. I don't put all my shit in condoms and stuff like that. I don't care that much. I take care of my stuff pretty well. Excuse me. So I can't complain. Alright. And then we have, speaking of Wake of Death, this is the Australian release, because it never got a Blu-ray here in the States. This is definitely, again, one of Van Damme's overall one of his best films. Again, whether it's directed video or in general, I think that this is one of his best movies. This is what I wish the Max Payne movie was like. So there you go. But it's really solid. Simon Yam as the bad guy. You cannot go wrong with Simon Yam. It's got some good shootouts, some good action in here. Nice revenge story. But it's pretty brutal, too. It's pretty violent and brutal. But I remember seeing this when it first came out on DVD and really liking it. I don't know why this never got a Blu-ray here in America. I guess the rights changed or what have you. But, good stuff. And I was hoping that 88 Films would do this one, too. But I guess either no or rights issues or what have you. The only thing I don't like about this movie, which is a problem that I have across all movies, TV shows, the music is louder than the dialogue in a lot of scenes. It is so fucking annoying to me. If someone is talking and you can't hear them, what's the point? Highlander, the Highlander TV series had that problem too, where a lot of times the music would be louder than the dialogue, and that is one of the biggest pet peeves that I have in movies and TV series and everything, because you're supposed to hear them talking. Like, I know, shocking, right? And then we have Until Death. Really like this one too. This is a darker, edgier type of Van Damme, but I do like this film. Now, unfortunately, this is the director's cut. When it came out here in America, I think Van Damme had it in his contract that he would get final cut. So in this version, Van Damme dies. In the version that came out here in America, his character lives. Why they couldn't put both on this, I don't know. I don't know if he had a clause in his deal, or they got lazy, or I don't know. But yeah, this has the version where his character dies. I still have the American DVD because that's the version where his character lives, because I like that his character lived. Now, it doesn't really, maybe to some, work, because, spoiler alert, for a movie that came out almost 20 years ago, his wife gets pregnant by another dude because he's a drug addict and stuff. And then the ending in his cut, he's like dancing with the kid, and I'm like, well, it's not his kid. But then here he dies. Like, would you rather have him die? You know what I mean? Because it's Van Damme. But yeah, this is the European release because it never got a Blu-ray here in America. But then also that has the Van Damme cut. This is the cut where he dies, which I don't like. I like that Van Damme. That's the other thing is, like, from here out, a lot of these movies he dies in. Like, why are you gonna die in every movie, dude? Like, so back in the day, you wouldn't play a villain. Now you play villains and then you die. Like, come on, it's whatever. Anyway, next up we have this from Blockbuster. We have JCVD, which I really like. Great performance, one of his best performances, I would say. He's really good. The rest of the movies, it's good, but it's really embellished a lot. Like, but the scene where he breaks down and he starts talking about, the drug addiction and how he let people down and he didn't do the things that he was supposed to do, and he's crying. That's not acting. That scene and the camera's like moving around, that is one of his best scenes. Because again, he was not acting. He was just speaking from the heart. And you could tell. But, it's kind of like life imitating art. But there is, moments in this movie where it's real. It's not, from the script. And like I said, this is the old Blockbuster. I love these old Blockbuster cases. That's why I kept them. But I think I found that's at the local Blockbuster out when they were closing. And this movie was supposed to, he's going to make a comeback, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Nothing really happened. He did Expendables 2 where he played a villain. He was in some of the Kung Fu Panda movies, but that was it. It didn't really get him anywhere. And it was weird because when this came out, Nicolas Cage really praised him. But again, nothing happened. Sadly. So, yeah, I'm just going to knock out these Van Damme movies because we're already at about the hour mark. And then, because I lied, you got to stop lying. You know what I mean? we'll do one more part and get the rest of this knocked out. Next segment here. So then we have Assassination Games. This is the German Blu-ray because it never came out here in America. This is okay. It should have been a lot better. I really like the Van Damme stuff. I like that he's this hitman and he kind of has a thing for this hooker and he like saves her. Like, I like that stuff. I like the stuff with Scott Adkins. The villains are so fucking lame in this movie. You know, there's no like threat. You know what I mean? The script with their stuff isn't really that good either. It should have been a lot better, and I don't know why they did this, but they put a fucking piss yellow filter on the movie. I would love if somebody, I don't know how to do it. Well, actually no, I do. I would love to do a regrading on the color scheme, because I don't know why they did that. I don't know why movies have these piss yellow filters. Like, why would you do that? It's stupid. But they did that with this movie for whatever reason. But it's okay. That's not the first time he worked with Scott Adkins. And that's the other thing. You know, he was doing these movies with Scott Adkins, and I don't know if they had a falling out or not, because you never hear Scott Adkins talk about Van Damme anymore. So I don't know if there was an issue there or something, because he never had him on The Art of Action. He never talks about him in interviews and stuff, so I don't know if something happened there or not. Then we have really the last Van Damme movie that I really enjoyed, and this was 2012, Six Bullets, European release, because it never came out here in America on Blu-ray. This was really solid. A little long in the tooth. It could have cut some stuff down. But I remember finding that, I don't know, it probably ended up in there by accident, but I found this in the $5 bin at Walmart, like right when the movie came out. So I don't know if it didn't sell well, or they said, fuck it, just put it in there. But I saw it online. I found it online, and then I went and bought the DVD. But I still really like this film. Like I said, this is the last really good Van Damme movie, as far as I'm concerned. And then we have Enemies Closer, which I do like, but he's the bad guy. But he went, and he got. It is directed by Peter Hyams, so he did get to work with Peter Hyams again. I know. That's the other thing. He always speaks so highly of Peter Hyams. Like, he was the only person to come see me when I was in rehab. He was the only person that would call me when I was down, and he would always check on me. You know, I love Peter Hyams. Why have they never done an interview together? Why have they never done a commentary together? I don't know. But he always speaks very glowingly about Peter Hyams. And you could tell that they were having fun on this movie. And I love Van Damme in this because he gets to play the villain. And he gets to be fucking crazy and insane. And I remember watching this one time, and my mom's like, he's kind of like trying to be the Riddler. And I'm like, well, I didn't really think of that. But, you know, I really like him. He's like a vegan, which is kind of funny. And, you know, he gets to kind of get some moments where he's kind of winking in the camera a little bit. But I like it. The only, you know, the thing about this movie is there is a commentary, but just with Peter Hyams. Why not Van Damme? Sorry, but I like Tom Everett Scott as an actor. That Thing You Do, other movies. I like Orlando Jones as an actor. Do I buy them as leads in an action film? No, I don't. Do I buy Tom Everett Scott as a Navy SEAL? No, I don't. I'm sorry, the drummer from That Thing You Do, and I love That Thing You Do. That's one of my favorite comedies, especially from the 90s. Do I buy him as an action star? No. Orlando Jones, I know he did, you know, some movies like Evolution. Well, it's a science fiction movie, but do I buy him as an action star? No. But Van Damme was the best part of this movie. You can't go wrong. And then last but certainly not least, for Van Damme and for this part, is Welcome to the Jungle, which is a comedy. Van Damme, if you have not seen this, just watch it for Van Damme. He is absolutely hilarious. I have the talking stick. This reminds me of a story. Lord of the Flies? No. Pinocchio. The boys were bad. they turned into donkeys and they ate candy. Like, it is, he is fucking hilarious in this movie. You could just tell they said, do your thing, man. You know, and I wish that he would do more comedy films because he is a very funny person. He can, naturally, he is funny. The rest of the movie is kind of who is the lead girl in the? Is it Megan Boone? That girl. I mean, she's pretty. And then Adam Brody's in it, which I like Adam Brody. I don't mind him. Rob Hubel is in it. Dennis Haysbert, Pedro Serrano has a cameo, and then Kristen Shaw from Bob's Burgers and stuff. It's okay. They go on like this retreat and they hire Van Damme, but Van Damme is not who he says he is. But he's the best part of the film, absolutely. The rest of the movie, Anyway, that's part 6, the Van Damme segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Next time, part 7 will be the last of this shelf here. We'll get that knocked out and we'll move on. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys soon. Later.